Let's freaking go. The first ever live stream on Power Hour SEC. Gotta love it. I'm super excited about the national championship game tonight. I'm super excited that we as a community were able to get that 1,000 subscriber mark. I do not expect this to be anything truly spectacular. I want you to understand that I am not the big SEC ESPN behemoth, but you got to start somewhere. And today I'm going to share with you a few thoughts that I have about the game tonight. LSU, of course, is out. Georgia versus TCU is what is all the rage. So you still see the software still says Power Hour LSU. We're going to move that out as this is the SEC live stream. So start off here with Joshua. TOV believes this is going to trigger some LSU fans. Go, dogs, go. So I'm going to share with you a few thoughts that I have about this game tonight. The first thing is obviously there is a lot of pressure on TCU, right? I feel as if the pressure on TCU is more immense than it is on Georgia, right? Of course, everyone would say the opposite because Georgia is a heavy favorite. And a lot of people would say, well, TCU is a school that, well, is a school that is very happy to be there, right? They're playing with house money. No one expects them to be where they are right now. But the simple truth here is the opposite is true. TCU fans, TCU players understand that they are likely to never get to this spot again. You guys know the historical recruiting data that surrounds the actual schools that win national championship games. And the data supports that TCU is a school that probably would never, ever get back to here, right? So for me, I have to say, pressure is on TCU. Okay. So if you want to talk about the metaphysical here, where it's all about who is going to show up, who is going to be the more nervous, it is without a doubt TCU because they've never been on the stage before. Yes, they got to a Rose Bowl in the Andy Dalton era. But the truth here is it is all about TCU, right? If they win this game, this puts to rest that you cannot win a national championship unless you recruit at an elite level. And TCU's aggregate recruiting class, it's outside the 20th region. So if TCU wins today, let me start off with this. I feel as if it is better for the sport of college football if TCU wins today. As you can see, I have a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey in the background. He's one of my all-time favorite players to watch, so I know who he's rooting for in this one. As we welcome in TJ, we welcome in DJ Pizza. Rob says, I like the dog. So right off the jump here with the poll question, does Georgia cover 13.5 versus TCU? And right now it is 50-50. So feel free to fire any questions in. I'm going to give you what I like and dislike about both teams. The one thing I like about TCU is outside of Keandre Miller and, of course, a few players that were already injured, the truth here is TCU has had better injury luck. Now, once again, Keandre Miller getting injured in the last game was absolutely huge, but TCU is the healthier team. While Georgia, yes, they lost Nolan Smith for the season, and they did just get A.D. Mitchell back. Georgia's got a few nagging injuries on offense. Ladd McConkey isn't fully healthy. And, of course, the big injury last week was Darnell Washington, who you can make a case is the most underrated player in college football, as the tight end one for Georgia. Brock Bowers is the guy that won the tight end award, the Mackey Award for the best tight end in all of college football. Here's why I like Georgia to cover the 13.5 and why I like the over. I think the market has not adjusted to how good Georgia's offense actually is. 42 points versus Ohio State, 50 versus LSU. And while TCU does run a unique defense, and their defense is arguably as, I guess you could say, good as these last two defenses, Ohio State and LSU, while they run this 3-3-5 stack, I've been hearing that the 3-3-5 stack is going to give a team like Georgia fits because you rarely see it. I would argue the opposite. I don't like the way the 3-3-5 stack matches up for Georgia. I think they'll be able to coach it up and be able to block it really well. I think Georgia's offensive line is also very undervalued. I think Georgia is going to be able to run the football at will at TCU tonight. I think TCU in the last game versus Michigan was very fortunate to be in the position they were in. Look at that game. Two pick sixes went TCU's way, a bad spot, a bad review. I truly do believe TCU, while they were the better team than Michigan, I felt they were a little fortunate to be in that position with some good luck that went their way. You can also say the same thing for Georgia as well versus Ohio State. So I can understand we could play who got luckier to be here. Well, the answer is obviously TCU. TCU is the one that did lose a game this season. TCU also played more thrilling games. TCU also had the good fortune of injury luck in those games where the star quarterback for the opposing team in 3 different games this year got hurt. So I do feel Georgia is in a position right now that they should feel good about where they are. Okay. I understand the injury issues for Georgia. I understand this is not the healthiest group. They have not been playing their absolute best. The last 2 games from them just were not their absolute best efforts. And look, I still believe when you look at this team from top to bottom, offensively, I think they're a little bit better than people give them credit for. And I think, sometimes you think of Georgia, you think defense, defense, defense. It honestly has been their offense. Only one game this year where they haven't averaged at least 6 yards per play, and that was the back-to-back road game versus Kentucky, a game that they honestly controlled the line of scrimmages. So, I feel as if Georgia is going to win this game comfortably tonight. I hope that is not the case. I know a lot of you are LSU fans watching this right now. Need TCU to win our bowl pick'em group. Don't feel too good about my odds. Well, look, you picked TCU. I think that's actually smart for your bowl pick'em. So yes, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good that you're going to lose your bowl pick'em, but that's okay, TJ. That's why you're here, right? We are all here to drink away our sorrows because our dear beloved LSU Tigers were the ones that lost to this Georgia Bulldogs team. Now, a few more things to look out for in this game, right? We have not talked about Max Duggan. We have not talked about Quentin Johnston. We have not talked about their great defense, their linebacker whose name slips my mind, number 57, who wears a neck roll. I love the fact that he wears a traditional linebacker number. I like the fact that he is a no glove neck roll kind of guy. I love him. But honestly, I think TCU secondary wise are pretty solid. I think team speed wise, they'll be able to keep up with Georgia. I just think the power and overall athleticism from Georgia is going to overwhelm them. Zane believes Georgia's going to house TCU. Tyler believes the same. Okay. I'm just kidding. I know Tyler really, really, really wants TCU to pull this upset. So we might have a guest coming in here pretty quickly. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited about you being a part of the first ever Power Hour SEC. So obviously, we're only going to have like a few of us just chilling. It feels pretty good to be in this spot. Now, a few more things that I want to get to. I got to meet a lot of you for the first time this past weekend. I love getting to do events, but I do want to bring up one very simple truth right here. There are some non-LSU fans that are going to watch the stream. We want to let you know that on this channel, all SEC fan bases and honestly all fan bases of every team are allowed to be a part of this channel. Okay, so there you go. Georgia will house TCU tonight. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you believe Georgia is going to blow out TCU tonight? Once again, type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you believe Georgia is going to blow out TCU tonight? Joshua says yes. Rob says yes. I feel they are. I do. Now, a few more SEC topics that I want to get into today. All right, before we actually get into this game. The first thing is yes, the transfer portal is still lit. It is amazing how the college football cycle works the way that it works, right? So, right now, um, the biggest yearly coaching convention is happening in Charlotte. It is called the AFCA coaching convention, right? Where all the best high school coaches, some college coaches get together for what is a really cool networking event. Also, the NFL playoffs is around the corner and the transfer portal is still happening. We still have the February signing period. So there's a lot happening right now in the world of college football outside of this game. So understand that college football is a 365 kind of sport, right? It's amazing how the sport is like just a never-ending cycle where everybody, just for the sake of the algorithm, has already put out their way too early top 25 rankings for this next year. So it is kind of strange that we're in this spot, but this is what college football coaching is like. Tomorrow, these coaches are going to be on the phone calling recruits, whether they win or lose. So it is a very fascinating dichotomy. The sport, it never ends. And that's kind of like my personality, right? I've grown as I've gotten older to where I'm not just focusing on the past, right? I don't try and dwell too much on the past and past successes and past get-togethers. I'm going to keep building this thing. So while I'm excited we hit 1,000 subscribers, while I am super excited that we were all able to get together this past weekend in Bossier City, I am more excited about the future of our channels. Okay. Max saw Duggan. I love the way you phrase that, Tyler. And you guys have got to meet Tyler in person. He is a personality. Okay. A few other things here. I feel as if TCU's kind of in a weird spot as well. They were 500-1 to win the national championship. This would be one of the biggest long shots in history to actually win the national championship. I do feel, going back to this point, TCU's offensive line has played honestly really well this year. They have been also a very underrated, unit. I remember in the last game, Michigan brought a corner blitz on the big touchdown to Quentin Johnston, and the center actually left his assignment to go sprint over there to pick him up and help, score that long touchdown. This offensive line is very smart, but I do think some of the blitzes that Georgia's going to throw at them is going to be exotic. It's going to be tough. Also, if Keandre Miller can't go tonight, I got into it during the TCU Michigan game. I think Keandre Miller is such a really good running back, and their backup, number 3, what's his last name? I almost said Abracadabra. He's a good player. He's not special. He's not Keandre Miller. So they are going to rely on him pretty heavily. They're going to need him to be huge. And he was huge in this past game versus Michigan, but he's going to have to be even better tonight versus Georgia. Also, something else about Georgia, their secondary, of course, has just gotten destroyed in these last couple of games. Do you really believe a Kirby Smart defense is going to get slaughtered for the 3rd game in a row? I don't think so. I really, really, really don't. I do feel this game will be I just don't think Georgia's offense is going to get stopped tonight. I think Georgia wins this one a 45-20 kind of game. I think TCU will score some second half touchdowns. And I think this game is honestly going to feel a lot like the Ohio State Alabama national championship game in 2020, where one team is clearly superior to the other. TCU, I think, is going to answer some of Georgia's blows, but I don't think Georgia's offense tonight is going to get stopped. I really don't think so. I think they are going to put up points. Bruce says TCU plays with grit, always gives you a chance. Sonny Dykes' squad has just been fantastic today. I just know Gary Patterson somewhere is feeling dirty about all of this. You coached this team for the longest. You made TCU relevant. The only thing TCU was known for was freaking LaDainian Tomlinson. You come in and make them a traditional top 25 team just for the new coach in year one to run the table to the national championship game versus Georgia. It's pretty crazy. It's crazy if you ask me. It's pretty freaking crazy. Now, a few more things about TCU. One thing I found to be very fascinating versus Michigan was they didn't necessarily get vertical versus Michigan. They hit a bunch of drag routes. They hit 2 mesh routes for tutties. They were kind of designed screen-ish kind of plays versus 0 blitzes. That was the play that they got Michigan for the long touchdown to Johnston. Their explosive plays were kind of, short, like runs that they were able to break off. It wasn't necessarily shots over the top. And I think in order to beat Georgia, you have got to get over the top of them. And we saw LSU do that. We saw Ohio State do that at will. And once you start getting hit over the top, you could start getting your intermediate game going. So we shall see what happens. Got to meet DJ Pizza this weekend. I'm looking for a shootout type of game with Georgia coming out on top. There you go. What's up, Brandon? Good to see you. I'd blitz Stetson all night long. You know what's interesting, Joshua? I think one prop I would make is I like TCU's DBs fine. I think there will be a few plays where they lock down Georgia's defense. One thing that I would look into, though, is the Stetson Bennett rushing yard prop. Will he get over however many rushing yards? I don't know what the prop is right now. I think Stetson Bennett will run for a lot of yards. I really, really, really do. Let's see here. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Is it good for college football if TCU wins today? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Is it good for college football for TCU to win today? LA Mom, good to see you. She was a winner of our Lance Hurd autograph photo contest over the weekend. I was actually going to do a contest, but everybody was like, yeah, LA Mom deserves it. I was like, well, I guess I got to give it to her now. I guess I do. Bruce says yes. Joshua says yes. Yes. LA Mom says yes. Rob says iffy. Bowers, 200 plus yards rushing and receiving, especially if Washington isn't at full health. Okay. Yay for college football. No for SEC. What's up, Leonard? Talking to Leonard throughout the day today. Pretty excited to get to chat with him. Jay Jettis, met you over the weekend. Good to see you. You're cheering for TCU. There you go. Not having Bama in was a win for college football. So, for all our general SEC fans watching this right now, thank us for that. Thank us. Thank LSU Nation for actually getting that done for you. Yes, you. Huh? 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 So, yeah, low key, I am pulling for TCU. I am. I don't dislike Georgia. I know, from like an LSU perspective, like there are some teams like I just don't really care a whole lot for, and Georgia's never really been one of them, right? And I've never really cared for TCU all that much, or I never really like disliked them the same way I dislike Texas. Um, so yeah, it's crazy. Okay, look at this. Oh my God. That is the comment of all comments. I did not see this, and I have been online today looking up all these random stats. Did anyone else see the stat that Stetson is 28-3 as a starter? That is so funny. Oh man. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you get this joke right here? Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you got this one. I freaking love it. Oh my God. Love it. Matt Ryan gets it. Huh? 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 I still think his wife's joke after the Vikings game was so freaking good. Oh man. For those that didn't get the joke, 28-3 was the Falcons' lead over the Patriots before the famous comeback. Falcons. But yes, for those that are just joining us, I do have Georgia minus 13.5 to get the job done. Okay. Georgia minus 13.5. And I also have the over. I think Georgia's offense is going to score minimum 40 points tonight. So yeah, I'm thinking that's where I feel right now. Hopefully we get it's kind of a risky play though to take the over and parlay it with them covering 13.5. So I need this game to be a shootout. That's what I'm saying. Or Georgia to win like 59-3 or something like that. Or 59-10, honestly. What's up, Mateo? This is TCU's night to shock everyone. Everyone? Everyone. You're saying everyone? Like the entire planet? So there you go. A few more things about Georgia. For me, I think 13, their true freshman end, is also banged up for tonight. They did play the later game, but they did also have the extra time to rest and prepare for this game as well. So, yeah, it's kind of tough to see if Georgia actually does blow them out. And, yeah. Let's see here. Pretty crazy. Here are a few predictions I've gotten in on twitter.com. Okay. Who plays for the evening. Also, I think Georgia's defense played a bad game last time out and won. I think TCU played its best game and won. Don't think Georgia's defense has back-to-back games. Dogs win. Cold Case says, I think it's going to be close. Georgia's secondary is TCU will light them up 31-38. Agree 45-21 Georgia. Frogs, baby, got to love them. and it's dogs. The entire universe. Good question here. Highly unlikely, but what do you think a TCU win would do to college football? A lot of good, and a lot of heavy lifting. So I think of this. So I'm wearing an EPL hat, Liverpool. But a few years ago, a school by the name of, or a team by the name of Leicester City won the English Premier League, and they were one of the biggest long shots to win the EPL. And the EPL is a lot like college football, and fans' passion and all of that. But it's also a sport where it is rare that a long shot's going to win it all, right? The elites are the only schools that can win it every year, the only teams. And TCU would feel a lot like Leicester City winning it all with a lot of magic going their way. And lo and behold, this would be their chance to actually win it all. So, for me, I think it would be, number one, a representation of how good the transfer portal is for college football, right? I think teams can now feel that they are immediately ready to play. So, yeah, there you go. Now, here's what we're going to do. We are going to get ready for the national championship game. I do have something I want to play for you, and there you go. Let's see here. So yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to get ready for the halftime show. I'm gonna let you guys get ready to watch the game, and we will see you at halftime. Okay? It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight, we're doing chicken wings. Let's go.